What's up, Everyday Blades? Man, this is one of my favorite kind of videos to do, and I want to spend a little time today with you going over it. Normally, though, it's a collection video, but my collection's gotten pretty big, and it's kind of diverse. It's got sections in it, and then just doing a whole collection video right now, just not ready to do that. I want to wait a little bit, maybe do like a couple a year. But what I want to do is my favorite knives right now, right? I have 8 knives here that I'm carrying regularly. This is, I guess you could say this is my rotation. Some of them more than others, and some of them are just insanely cool. So I'll start off, they're not in any type of order, but this is the Shirogorov F95T for turtle. And I'm a huge Shirogorov fan. I'm a huge fan of the F95 with the big thick blade stock. Beautiful titanium scales. The action's just stupid on this knife. I just love it. I mean, I love carrying this knife. I love owning this knife. The scales are all milled out. This is one of my favorite Shirogorovs. It's one of 2 that are in here. It's probably second behind the other one, but it's up there. I really, really love this knife. And if you haven't experienced Shirogorov, you need to. If you're a knife collector, you need to purchase at least one. And just look at that where it says, it's the small details, multi-roll bearing system. Very cool. You need to experience it just once, because if I had never purchased one, they just didn't look appealing to me just glancing at them in pictures. But once you get it in hand, it's a whole different story. We'll go ahead and jump to the other Shirogorov. This was my second Shirogorov. This is the Neon Zero. And this is my favorite Shirogorov. This knife is the perfect size for EDC. I wouldn't want it any bigger, any smaller. It's got a huge blade on it for its size. I love that plain titanium look. It doesn't weigh nothing. I mean, action is just stupid. You can see this thing has scratches all over it. I use this knife a lot, and it still looks really good. All I do is clean it off and wipe it off with alcohol. Every once in a while, I'll take it apart and clean the bearings, and yeah, you got to use a pair of tweezers to put the bearings all back in, but it's worth it. All right, I think everybody knows this is my favorite knife, hands down. I haven't found anything to beat it for me, and I don't think that I will, as far as a production knife. I'm sure there's some custom out there I'd fall in love with, but I'm just not a custom guy. This is the Grimsmo Rask, and man, this knife right here, the funny thing is I watched a video. John Grimsmo was talking about when they developed this knife. They were trying to make something that was a little simpler, a cheaper knife than what they had, something that was easier to make, and they just totally missed the mark on that. They just don't know how to do anything that's less than, because everything they do is going to be better than the last. And I think this is their flagship. I really do. They just don't make enough of them. And for me, I actually sold this knife like an idiot, because I had to have a CKF Evo 1. It just had to have it, and this was the one way I could get it, was to sell this. By a stroke of fate, I actually got my exact same knife back. It actually came back nicer, because it came back with a Damascus clip on it. A friend of mine actually got this knife in a trade from a guy, and sold it back to me, man, and I'll never forget that, because I hunted for a year to get another one, and I looked at the last 20 they had made or whatever, and 19 of them were that black, rough looking finish. That's not for me. This is me right here. This shiny, stonewash, beautiful, like the kind of like the Sleesh buoy, beautiful. But I can't say enough about this knife. I could talk about this knife all night, but we're not going to. I'm going to keep moving. So this is the Sandrin Torino, the upgraded carbon fiber model. I didn't care for the first one. It was like a utility blade looking thing. It had cross members. It looked to me like a throwaway painter's knife. but it still had the tungsten carbide blade. And for a knife sharpener, man, that's just cool. It's just cool for me. And this knife is nothing but the cool factor. It kind of doesn't make sense that I sharpen knives and own this, because I can easily sharpen all my knives. I don't need a knife to stay sharp forever, but I just like the fact that it does. The only flaw I found in this knife was the closing. You're not really able to close this in the traditional sense, like with a one-hand closing, like pull down like this. It just doesn't work. You have to get back on it back here, either this way and pull back like that's the way they intended you to do it. But when you're up on top of it, that doesn't work. What I do is take my fingernail and go down on top of it, and it comes down fairly easy like that. But if that's the only flaw, I'm good to go. I'm not worried about it. Moving on to the next one. This one is even more unique. This is, most of you know, the magnet knife. Winter blade factor. When I first saw this, I wasn't interested in it. I thought, well, why would I want a knife with magnets in it? The more I saw it, the more I liked it. And when I got it in hand, I'm like, this is a piece of knife history. Because this knife truly does operate off of magnets. It's not just a gimmick. I mean, we've seen stuff like this that was cheaper stuff, but this is M390, titanium, carbon fiber, and it's done very, very well. And other than a hint of lock stick, I haven't had any issues with it. And they even send a metallic pin for the lock stick that works unbelievable. I even did a video on it. It works so well. So one thing I was kind of confused about is why they did this here. This is kind of a deployment method, but you have to really get in there at a strange angle to deploy it. It's not the way anyone's really going to deploy it. This is the ultimate Spidey flick knife. I heard another reviewer say that, and it's true. It is. It really is. So they do make a carbon fiber piece, somebody does, that covers this up, and I really wanted that, but then I found out the reason this has a hole in it was to put a tritium tube in here, and I like tritium, man. I dig it. So I ordered that from China, and about 12 years later it came in from on the slow boat. And you can see, I don't know if I'll be able to tell with all these lights, but it's purple. Anyway, it's not super bright. I also found out after I bought it that purple is the dimmest of the tritiums. So I would have gotten the green had I noticed it was the brightest, but it still lights up, still glows in the dark great. No issues with that. It's just a great fidget knife, man. I love the fidget with this knife. And it has that, see if we can make it do the ring. No, it's not gonna want to participate. Anyway, most of the time when you open it, it has a ring, but you gotta hold it a certain way. But the winter blade factor is a piece of knife history, and I think it will stay that way. They've only had 2 drops though, and man, they were gone in seconds, and you just haven't heard anything. I really hope they're making the crap out of those things. I want everybody to have one. You should all experience that knife. If you're a knife guy, you need to experience that knife. Now this. Woo! This is fire. I carry this knife a lot. Everybody, I show my knives to people a lot. You know, I talk about my group and my channel to a lot of people, and to get people to subscribe and to get people in the knife community. I think we bring in a ton of new members to the knife community in this group, and I'm proud of that. This is the Microtech Anox, or as a lot of us call it, the Annex. But if you watch the Microtech video, they call it the Anox. I don't know if I'll ever be able to get used to that after calling it the Annex for years, but this is a version of the Marfione Anox, which I had and I loved, but I can honestly tell you that I like this better. And this is under half the price, like $400-ish instead of 1,000 and over-ish. It's a titanium integral. I love these clips that have that polished ceramic ball on there. Man, that just looks cool. Pivot collars, over travel stop collar. Beautiful, beautiful carbon fiber in here. The action is, forget about it, man. The action is so good. And I love the blade. It comes down to a super, super fine point. They just knocked it out of the park with this knife. And this one, you know, Microtech has made in China. I forget who the OEM is, but it's a really good OEM. They do a killer job. If you don't own one of these, you need to. And the great thing is, you know, a lot of people were upset about it, but man, it's not a clone, and it gives us a chance to, a lot of people a chance who don't have $1,000 to buy a knife like this. It gives us a chance to own it, you know, and it's a really, really good knife, and it's not stealing or cloning their name. It's still the same company. It's just outsourcing the labor. He designed a killer knife. Okay, the next knife I'm calling Knife of the Year, hands down. No doubt about it. McNeese Mac 2 3.5. Not the 3-inch. The 3-inch is fine, but I think most of us couldn't find one of these, so we bought the 3-inch, and we ended up selling it, and we bought this one because this one is perfection. This one in particular, I got the MagnaCut, and though I love MagnaCut, it's cool, it's an amazing steel. This is 20 CV. I mean, this is no slouch. This is probably the next runner-up to MagnaCut, right? But the finish on this is a polished stonewash, which I love. It's my favorite finish. And the finish on the MagnaCut is like a rough, blasted, chalkboardy finish. I just wasn't digging it. I like this much better. And I hope they keep offering this, or at least I hope they start making a polished version of the MagnaCut. Maybe it's tough to polish. I don't know. I don't know too much about it other than everything I've heard about it. It's a really great steel. But I can honestly tell you from the bottom of my heart, I don't think 99% of us could tell the difference between 20 CV and MagnaCut. I mean, 20 CV holds an edge a long time. It may not be as tough, but this is an expensive knife. What are we going to be doing? We're not going to be prying with it. Don't need to be that tough. It's for cutting. This knife is awesome. And they're tough to get, but it's worth it. So if you're hunting, stay on the hunt. This is the newest one. I've been carrying this one every day, partially because I'm going to review it, but other partially because I just like it. There's my little chode knife. Stick it in my pocket. Done. Awesome little skull clip on it. Love that thing. Some people don't. I love it. Cool thing is they offer a new clip that's just a straight clip with it. You don't have to buy it separate. He provides it now. I think that was a winner move. G10 on both sides. M390, they don't use S35 anymore, which nothing wrong with S35 at all. But M390, hey, I like it. I like it. I like it too much. Look at that blade shape. Isn't that sexy? Killing it. So guys, those are my favorite knives right now that are in my possession. I love them. This will probably stay my favorite the rest of my life, unless something just amazing comes along. But if it does, it'll probably be from Grimsmo. The guys they're just insane about details. I mean, everything is polished, perfect, and rounded, and smooth, and square where it needs to be, and it's a work of art. It's a work of art. Beautiful. The knife is better looking on the inside than it is on the outside, and that's no joke. Guys, thanks for watching. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. It really helps us out. Please throw a like. If you like this video, please throw a like. That helps us out a lot with the algorithm. I really appreciate it. I consider it a personal favor. If you want to support our Patreon, get a chance to win a lot of the knives that we get in, please do that. Go to our Patreon. The link will be in the description. The link to our group. If you're not in our Facebook group, you need to be. We have over 37,000 awesome knife collectors. We're a no BS group. We talk about knives, and that's it. We don't deal with no bullshit. No, we keep it on the straight and narrow. So, guys, thanks for watching. God bless you and your families. Say a prayer for our country. Good night.